When you want to prove something is real, you usually just, like, knock on it.
Right, yeah, it's an instinct.
Like a heavy wooden table or a solid rock or something. You wrap your knuckles against it, and you feel that sudden resistance. You hear the sound, and your brain instantly goes, yep, that is definitely real.
Exactly. It's the most intuitive test we have, honestly. We are biologically wired to equate solidity with reality.
Yeah, totally.
Like, if an object pushes back against our hand, we inherently trust its existence. The physical world just feels, you know, dense, permanent, undeniable.
It does. But, and this is the crazy part, the deeper you look into that solid object, the more that intuitive certainty kind of completely unravels.
Oh, absolutely.
If you zoom in past the wood grain, past the microscopic fibers, all the way down to the atomic level, that reassuring solidity just, it evaporates.
It vanishes.
Right. It turns out that literally everything you have ever touched is almost entirely empty space.
Which is, frankly, a deeply unsettling realization for a lot of people.
I mean, yeah, it messes with your head.
It really does. It forces us to confront the fact that our physical senses are essentially feeding us this highly edited, extremely pragmatic illusion.
And that illusion, along with what lies, like, beyond it, is exactly what we are exploring today with you. We are going on a journey today.
A mind-bending journey, for sure.
Seriously. We're looking at a super fascinating philosophical text from 2006. It's titled The Chapter of Preaching Tao, Article 10, The Mysteries of Space. And it's written by an author named Tao Yuan.
Yes.
And this text, it tries to tackle two massive overarching questions that have just plagued both physicists and philosophers for centuries.
Big ones.
The huge ones. First, what actually is matter? And second, where, physically or geographically speaking, do our minds go when we dream?
It is an incredibly ambitious piece of writing. The author pulls from this seemingly disparate mix of disciplines,
Like what it makes.
You've got quantum physics, Buddhist philosophy, and then the ancient Chinese principle of Tai Chi.
All right.
And they use all of that to build a completely different framework for understanding reality. So we're going to objectively break down the concepts presented in this text today, just to understand exactly how the author arrives at some pretty reality-bending conclusions.
Right. And to understand the mysteries of space as the author defines it, the text argues that we first have to, like, deconstruct the physical stuff that supposedly fills it.
Exactly. We have to figure out what matter actually is first.
Right.
And to do that, the author introduces this really helpful thought experiment. It involves peeling back the layers of reality like an onion.
I love a good onion metaphor.
It works perfectly here. So the text starts at the macro level. Think of the Milky Way galaxy.
Okay.
When you look up at night from our tiny vantage point here on Earth, the Milky Way literally just looks like a fuzzy, continuous cloud of light. It looks like a solid smear across the sky.
Because of the massive distance.
Precisely, because of the distance. So to investigate what that cloud is actually made of, you have to zoom in. You peel a layer back and you zoom into our solar system.
Right.
But, as the author points out, a solar system is still too massive to really grasp the fundamental nature of matter.
Way too big.
Right. So the author suggests zooming all the way down to a single ordinary stone resting on the ground. A stone is just the perfect everyday stand-in for the material world.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the way the text dissects this stone gets really intense very quickly.
It goes deep.
It really does. So we start peeling the layers of this stone. The stone is composed of, like, cellular structures or crystalline grids.
Right.
And those are made of molecules. And the molecules are made of atoms. You break the atoms open, and what do you find? You find a nucleus that's orbited by electrons.
Yep.
You crack that nucleus open, and you find protons and neutrons. You break those apart, and you get quarks.
And this is where the author points out that things get incredibly messy. What's fascinating here is how the text references the sheer cascade of discoveries in particle physics.
It's a lot.
It is. Scientists keep finding smaller and smaller classifications. The text lists them out. You've got hadrons, mesons, baryons, leptons, bosons, photons, neutrinos, fermions, gluons, and quanta.
I mean, right, but if we just list those off, it kind of just sounds like reading a physics glossary,
Fair point.
What is the text actually trying to say with this massive list of subatomic categories?
Well, the author's highlighting a really critical problem in how we view the universe. As we chase matter down this rabbit hole from a molecule to a hadron to a gluon, we just naturally assume we are going to eventually find a tiny, irreducible, solid billiard ball.
Like the ultimate foundational building block.
Exactly, the ultimate building block of reality, but we don't.
We don't find it.
No. The deeper we go into that subatomic list, the less solid things actually become. Particles start behaving less like physical objects and much more like localized vibrations in a field.
Or just probabilities of energy.
Right, probabilities. The text argues that if you just keep peeling this material onion layer by layer, its true nature is finally revealed. And that true nature isn't some fundamental solid particle.
It's emptiness.
It is emptiness.
The text gives a specific, or honestly mind-boggling example of this scale that really stuck with me.
Oh, the proton line.
Yes. The author notes that if you take 1 trillion protons, a trillion,
Yeah.
and line them up in a perfectly straight line, they would only measure 1 millimeter long.
1 single millimeter.
1 millimeter. 1 trillion protons. It made me think of zooming in on a high-definition digital photograph.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Right. Like when you look at a photo on your phone, it looks like a solid continuous image. Maybe it's a landscape or a picture of a friend's face.
Sure.
But if you keep pinching and zooming, pushing past what your eyes naturally perceive, you eventually realize it's actually just tiny, isolated, glowing pixels.
Yep.
And between those pixels is completely blank space.
Ah.
The so-called solid picture is really just an optical illusion created by distance and the limits of human perception.
That analogy perfectly illustrates the text's core argument about matter. The image only exists because of how your brain connects those tiny points of light across the negative space.
Exactly.
And the author connects this directly to the ancient wisdom of the Buddha, specifically the realization that, and I quote, emptiness is not different from form.
Emptiness is not different from form.
Right. When you peel away every single layer of the physical world, the core itself is void.
So, okay, the text is saying that what we call space is simply the distance between these incredibly sparse, microscopic points of matter.
Fundamentally, yes, that's the idea.
Wow.
The massive takeaway the author wants the reader to grasp here is that emptiness actually is matter, and matter is emptiness.
They aren't mutually exclusive.
Not at all. They are not opposing forces. They are literally just two descriptions of the exact same phenomenon.
Okay, I can follow that logic for sure. But it brings up a really confusing problem for me.
What's that?
If physical matter is essentially just empty space held together by forces, then how do we define the boundaries of the actual space surrounding it? Like, where does an object actually end and space begin?
That is the big question. And the author addresses this by arguing that space itself is completely infinite.
Okay.
To explain this lack of boundaries, the text compares the vastness of space to the mathematical constant pi.
Oh, interesting, like 3.14.
Right. Just as there are infinite non-repeating digits after the decimal point in pi, stretching on endlessly without ever reaching a final number, space has absolutely no ultimate edge.
But, I mean, pi is a conceptual mathematical construct, you know. How did the author map that onto physical reality?
By using a highly practical thought experiment, it involves two tables.
Okay, lay it on me.
Imagine you place two tables side by side right in your living room. The space between them is very small, right? Easily measurable.
Sure. Couple inches, maybe?
Exactly. Now, take one of those tables and transport it to the surface of Mars.
Okay, long trip, but I'm with you.
The space between those two specific tables is now tens of millions of miles wide. If you move one table to a galaxy billions of light years away, the space between them expands accordingly.
Okay, I'm going to push back on that a bit.
Go ahead.
Because obviously if you move things further apart, the distance between them grows. I mean, that feels a bit simplistic, doesn't it?
Well, it definitely sounds simplistic until you look at the underlying mechanism the author is trying to point out here.
Okay.
The text isn't just saying things can get far away from each other. It is arguing that space, as a measurable concept, is entirely dependent on matter to exist at all.
Wait, really? Dependent on matter?
Yes. The space between the tables didn't inherently grow. Rather, our definition of that specific space relies entirely on the existence of the two tables to create reference points.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Without the tables, without matter framing it, space has no measurable dimensions whatsoever. It is just an infinite void. Oh, wow. Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. The physical matter acts as, like, the anchor points we use to comprehend the emptiness.
Exactly. Anchor points is a great way to say it.
Mm.
And this realization requires a total shift in how we view the universe.
I'll say.
If we only explore reality using physical anchor points, you know, using our physical vision, or even our most advanced telescopes and rulers, we are only getting a one-dimensional, highly limited view of reality.
We're missing the bigger picture.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture to explain the true nature of space, the text introduces the ancient Chinese philosophical principle of Tai Chi.
Okay, and for anyone not entirely familiar with the core philosophy of Tai Chi, we aren't talking about the martial art exercises in the park here.
Right, no. In this philosophical context, Tai Chi is the principle of fundamental duality. It's the concept that the universe operates through the interplay of opposing but complementary forces.
Like yin and yang?
Precisely. Think of light and dark, hot and cold, matter and void. Everything exists in relation to its opposite.
And the author applies this principle directly to space itself. Space cannot just be one big empty box. Because of Tai Chi, space must be dual. It is divided into two fundamental attributes, yang space and yin space.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. The text breaks down the difference between these two realms, and it's wild.
It really is.
So yang space is the physical material realm. It's the realm of the tables, the planets, the molecules, and those trillion protons we were talking about.
The measurable stuff.
Right, it's everything we measure. Yin space, on the other hand, is the non-material realm. It is the space of consciousness, spirit, memory, and dreams.
Yeah, and the text sometimes refers to yin space as antimatter, but not in the way physicists use the term, so don't get confused there.
Right.
The author uses it in a spiritual context to mean the absolute inverse of physical matter.
But I found myself getting genuinely stuck on the mechanics of this, to be honest.
How so?
Well, we easily accept the physical distance between two tables in yang space. We can calculate the exact trajectory to Mars, right?
Sure, with enough math.
But how do we measure the volume of a non-physical space? Like, if I have a dream about a sprawling, endless city, I experience distance, I experience height and architecture within that dream.
You feel like you're walking blocks and blocks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But structurally, that city takes up absolutely zero physical room inside my skull.
Right.
So how does yin space actually function?
That apparent contradiction is the exact mechanism the author is trying to highlight.
Oh, really?
Yes. Because you experience continuity, distance, and dimension within your imagination or within a dream, space absolutely cannot be a singular physical phenomenon.
It has to be more than that.
Right. Yin space is an informational space. It has dimension and reality to the consciousness experiencing it, even if it completely lacks physical mass.
That makes a lot of sense.
And recognizing this dual nature of space is vital, according to the text, because it reveals a massive disparity in how we are actually able to travel through the universe.
Which leads right into the harsh reality check the text gives us about physical space travel.
Oh, it's a harsh check. All right.
It really is. The author outlines the severe, honestly, almost insurmountable limitations of exploring yang space. And it's pretty brutal.
It is entirely grounded in the physics of our universe, though. In yang space, the speed of light is an absolute, unbreakable limit.
Right. You can't go faster.
You can't, because it would require an infinite amount of energy to accelerate any physical mass to the speed of light. We are fundamentally trapped by the physics of our own bodies.
I actually really appreciated the author's blunt take on this.
Mm-hmm.
The text points out that Earth is the only naturally habitable place in our solar system.
Yep.
And because our physical lifespans are so ridiculously short, reaching a distant habitable star in a physical body is just, it's a physical impossibility.
It's just not going to happen.
The author even argues that, even if we miraculously developed incredible interstellar spacecraft tomorrow, average people couldn't afford a ticket anyway. We'd be stuck here.
True. Only the ultra-rich would go.
Exactly. And the absolute kicker, the text says that even if you could afford the ticket and you did manage to reach another beautiful planet across the galaxy,
Yeah.
you are still going to age. And you are still going to die there eventually.
You can't escape biology.
Right. The author looks at the massive scale of the physical universe, looks at our fragile physical bodies, and literally calls the endeavor of conquering physical space pointless. Pointless.
It's a stark, almost nihilistic way to look at physical space travel. But, the author's goal isn't just to be depressing.
No, definitely not.
It's to highlight the mechanical futility of trying to cross an infinite yang space using a finite mortal vehicle. It's like
trying to conquer an ocean by swimming. Right, when there's an airplane just sitting there waiting for you.
That's a perfect analogy, and this raises an important question. If physical travel is a dead end, how does the author suggest we actually explore the universe?
Right, what's the airplane in this scenario?
The airplane is yin space. The author states that we can live and travel in yin space. Because Yun space deals entirely with the non-material with consciousness movement, isn't restricted by the mass energy equations that govern the speed of light.
So no speed limit.
No speed limit. Travel in Yin space is superluminal. In fact, the text describes it as completely instantaneous.
Wow.
Instantaneous.
In a fraction of a second, your consciousness can reach non-material realms billions of light years away.
The text even names some of these destinations, which is fascinating.
It does.
It describes material worlds with names like the 1,000-year world and the 10,000-year world. And it claims we can reach them because, as the author states, quote, consciousness determines existence.
Consciousness determines existence. Yeah.
It says that as long as your life's frequency resonates with those worlds, you can go there.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, life's frequency sounds a bit vague.
It sounds a little esoteric.
Yeah, what does that actually mean mechanically? How does a consciousness resonate with a non-material world?
It's a critical question. To understand the author's mechanism, I want you to think of acoustic resonance.
Okay, like with instruments.
Exactly. Imagine you have two acoustic guitars sitting on opposite sides of a room.
All right.
If you pluck the low E string on the first guitar, the sound waves travel through the air, and suddenly the low E string on the second guitar starts vibrating and humming all on its own.
Oh, right, because of the sound wave.
Right. They share a physical architecture that allows energy to transfer across space without any direct physical contact.
Because they're tuned to the exact same pitch.
Correct. The author is suggesting that consciousness operates through a very similar mechanism. It isn't a physical body being propelled across a vacuum. It is a complex informational state.
Okay, I think I'm following.
If your mental state, your thoughts, your awareness, what the text calls your frequency, architecturally matches the state of a specific realm in yin space, your consciousness essentially vibrates into that reality.
That is wild.
Reality isn't necessarily a physical place you travel to. It is a state of existence you align with.
That is just a really fascinating framework. But obviously the skeptics' alarm bells are ringing right now.
Oh, of course they are.
If this travel is happening purely in our minds, do these destinations actually exist? Are the 1,000-year world or the celestial islands real, or are they just elaborate hallucinations?
The author fully anticipates this skepticism, actually. To bridge the gap for modern readers, the text uses an analogy that perfectly demonstrates how an invisible space can be entirely real.
Oh, the computer network.
Yes, computer networks.
This part of the text really grounded the philosophy for me. The author reminds us that before computers existed, the idea of a virtual space would have sounded like absolute nonsense.
Total gibberish.
Right. If you tried to explain cyberspace to someone 100 years ago, they would have called you crazy.
Oh.
But today, we universally accept that websites exist within this non-physical virtual space.
Well, don't even question it.
No, we just log on. The text specifically mentions a website called Lifechanyuan. The author argues that if you navigate to it, you experience it, you read its information, and you walk away saying, yes, it exists.
The author uses our everyday acceptance of the internet to pose a very difficult question. If we concede that virtual computer networks exist, that they hold real information and facilitate genuine experiences despite not having a singular physical location,
Right.
why do we reject the existence of realms accessed through human consciousness? The text directly challenges the reader. Does a place called the Celestial Islands continent in the Elysium world exist?
But wait, a website still requires physical servers, doesn't it?
It does.
It requires a substrate in yang space,
Mm-hmm.
hard drives, fiber optic cables, electricity. Does yin space require a physical universe to run on?
That is the ultimate philosophical hurdle the text presents. The author argues that yin space is the substrate.
Wait, what?
Consciousness isn't the software running on the hardware of the brain. The physical universe is the hardware running within the infinite space of consciousness.
Wow. Okay, that completely flips the entire paradigm upside down.
It does. The text synthesizes this by intentionally blurring the lines we use to define reality. It states, the illusory is real, and the real is illusory.
The illusory is real and the real is illusory.
Yes, and the author poses this intense scenario. If you are having an incredibly vivid, beautiful dream, is it better to wake up and endure decades of physical anxiety and sorrow simply because it's quote-unquote real? Or is it better to remain in that dream for 10,000 years?
That's heavy. Or, tying it back to technology, is it a better use of a life to exhaust your body and drain your bank account trying to physically travel the globe? Or to spend 6 months flawlessly experiencing every wonder of the world inside a fully immersive virtual simulation.
Exactly.
The author is really forcing us to examine our deep-seated bias that physical hardship and, like, tactile solidity are the only markers of a real experience.
And according to the text, once a person lets go of that physical bias, they open themselves up to profound possibilities. The text concludes that by understanding what it calls the 8 great mysteries of life, a person can actively reach these celestial realms.
Which sounds incredibly mysterious on its own. Does the text elaborate on what those 8 mysteries actually are?
It doesn't lay them out as a simple checklist in this specific article, unfortunately. But within the broader context of the author's philosophy, these mysteries represent the fundamental operating logic of consciousness.
Okay, so kind of like the underlying mechanics.
Right. Think of it like understanding the operating system of a computer. Most of us just use the physical interface, right? We just click the icons in Yang space.
Yeah, point and click.
But if you understand the underlying code, the 8 mysteries, you become a developer. You can navigate the hidden directories of Yin space. The text presents this not as some grim escape from reality, but as a deeply joyful pursuit.
Yeah, the text actually ends with this wonderfully poetic line. It says, "The way of the celestials is joyful, and the great void is their home."
It's beautiful.
It is. It completely reframes the concept of emptiness. Instead of viewing the vast vacuum of space as this cold, terrifying, isolating abyss, it presents the great void as a welcoming, infinite home for our consciousness.
It is a remarkable inversion of perspective. Instead of feeling like incredibly small, fragile creatures trapped inside an infinitely large physical box, the author provides a framework where our minds are the infinite space.
Minds that are fully capable of holding the entire universe within them.
Exactly.
It is a lot to process, and it really demands that you step outside your normal frame of reference.
It takes some mental gymnastics.
So let's briefly look back at the path this text took us on. We started by peeling away the layers of the physical world, moving from the macro scale of galaxies all the way down to the chaotic probabilities of quarks.
Right, realizing that the core of all solidity is essentially empty space.
Exactly. And from there, we explored how the measurable dimensions of space rely entirely on physical matter to define them. Without those physical anchor points, space is infinite and boundaryless, much like the endless decimals of pi.
Right. And then we explored the Tai Chi duality of the universe, the split between the physical Yang space, with its harsh speed limits and inevitable mortality.
A little more count.
Very brutal. And on the flip side, the non-material Yin space, where we examined the mechanics of resonance,
Like the guitars.
and how consciousness might instantaneously bridge infinite distances simply by aligning its state with different realms of existence.
Which brought us to the author's final challenge. Questioning whether a realm experienced purely through consciousness or virtual networks is any less real than one experienced through physical touch.
Right. The author makes a very compelling argument that our experiences, whether they're physical, digital, or purely mental, are all processed through the exact same consciousness.
So what does this all mean? That leads me to a final thought I want you to consider. And it builds directly on the author's analogy of computer networks. If our consciousness truly determines our existence, and if virtual spaces are a recognized, functioning form of reality, what happens as human technology continues to advance?
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
As we create increasingly immersive, indistinguishable virtual realities, spaces that our brains eventually literally cannot differentiate from the physical world, are we actively engineering a technological bridge between Yang space and Yin space?
Wow. It's an incredibly provocative implication. If the boundaries of reality are defined by what consciousness experiences, then the software developers building our digital worlds are essentially learning the coding language of universe creation.
Exactly. Are we right now artificially building our own celestial islands right here on Earth, using server farms and code instead of ancient meditation?
It's entirely possible.
It is something to seriously mull over the next time you find yourself entirely lost in a video game, or even just having a really vivid daydream. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the mysteries of space. Keep exploring the environments, both physical and non-physical, within your own mind.
Absolutely.
And the next time you knock your knuckles against a heavy wooden table to prove it's real, maybe take just a second to appreciate the infinite, magnificent emptiness hiding right there inside it. Take care, everyone.